to participate in the program, and initially it was as a panelist, and that was like 6 weeks before. And then, and I'm sure you remember this, I'm jogging your mind, but your memory, and then a little less than 2 weeks before, you pinged me and you said, hey, Jules, do you think we could do like a live thread session? And I mean, I'm not going to curse on the program, but I honestly did not believe that you could pull it off in such short order. And so I gave you like this laundry list of kind of things I needed to do and everything else. And that was the second time in my life. Sanjay Gupta was the first who invited me to do a program on CNN, and I thought there was no way in hell he was going to pull it off. You were the second, and sure enough, here we are rolling out, and I don't know how you did it. Are you going to finally tell me how you brought it together?
Well, I think it's funny. I think, one of the things that we do at Goop is really try to recognize all forms of beauty. What do women need at different stages in their lives? Like, we're living in an age where there are all of these crazy interventions, and you see people really take them to the extreme. Well, they're not crazy themselves necessarily, but you see people really take things to the extreme. And our reader, it was really interested in threading, and did it work, and what was it, and does it really give you a mini facelift, and it's natural material, and it's sugar molecules, it's not putting something in your body that's super toxic, etc. So the more I learned about it, the more I thought this could be something interesting for the audience to understand. And those wellness days are really what they're really about, and what we try to do at Goop is really try to eliminate shame for women. And there's so much shame for us around our sexuality and beauty, and sometimes asking questions that we want to keep secret, right? Like, what are the beauty tricks I could do to look younger? Or and it can range across a variety of subjects really for us. And I think beauty is really one where there's still a lot of stigma around women doing things to make themselves look younger. And people do intervene in the aging process, but they don't want to tell anybody, or they're hiding it from their spouse. And I sort of feel like women are entitled to make decisions about how they look and how they feel, and it shouldn't be something that we look down upon. It should be something that if a woman really has a question about something that she wants answered, or she wants to try something, I think we want to support that woman in whatever effort she needs to make to feel better about herself, or closer to herself.
I mean, beautifully said. And I mean, it was amazing how much kind of static you were getting at the time. I mean, that was 3 short years ago. And then we look at where we are now. I mean, I have to admit myself, I've tried to copy, because we're in Chicago. We're going to do a wellness club, a private club, who, by the way, I'm counting on your buddy, Julia Van Nice, who introduced us to be a part of. But
meanwhile, she's the reason right now where I can only like half see you, because she's so mad at me that I kept wearing glasses on all my Zoom calls or whatever we were doing, or YouTube lives or Instagram live. She's like, I want to see your face. And I was like, but I can't see. So I know what you look like, but you're a little fuzzy right now. That's all thanks to
Oh,
Julia.
shit. I'm fuzzy on this?
Just a little.
All right. I'll blame Julia later then. That's all right.
Please do.
It's still, it's weighted in your favor and her favor, the fact that she made the intro. So it's all good. It's all good. So tell us a little bit about kind of how you look at where Goop was back then, and putting all these kind of wild pieces together. Like, I remember learning about bullet coffee for the first time at that summit, and now it's everywhere. And I mean, there's so many examples of where, you kind of gave these very dynamic kind of platforms that are all around health and wellness, kind of an opportunity to get out there. And so how do you look at things now?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Goop was founded from a deep place of curiosity and also wanting to help largely women find anything across any vertical that would be a shortcut for them or could help them optimize themselves in some way and really make the most out of life, you know? So whether it was like pointing someone in the right direction for the best taco place in Santa Monica or exploring the world of acupuncture. And, you know, I've always been very interested in alternative medicine and ancient modalities alongside of Western medicine. And it was interesting when we started to see and feel the pushback that we got around this idea that women have autonomy over their health and they're entitled to ask questions. Um, and so it's been amazing actually, you know, to look back and see now that we, you know, at this, I mean, we started almost 12 years ago. So at this point, we're almost like a heritage wellness brand. But a lot of this stuff was really emergent when we started, and people thought, you know, like that meditation was weird or yoga was weird. I mean, I remember when I first started doing yoga in the 90s, there were really negative articles about me being a witch or, you know, a pagan, or I don't know, like a devil worshiper from doing, you know, so I think, and I also think it's interesting to look at the systemic, um, the systemic issues in our culture, which lead to like this sort of classic devaluation of women in the patriarchy, and a woman saying, hey, like I might want to try and eat better and see if I feel better, you know, that we're allowed to do that. Or I might want to try meditation or acupuncture or, you know, these things that at the time were sort of seemed like radical ideas and now obviously have been very embraced by the mainstream. And but yeah, when I started, it was like considered cutting edge stuff, which I think is so strange and interesting. But, you know, especially during this time where there's so much, like we're living in this time that's so unprecedented and surreal. And, you know, for me, the idea of wellness and talking about wellness and offering people some insight into how they might use this time productively and talking to those experts and, you know, doing a true inventory of themselves to see like, wow, I'm really triggered by my partner. What might be unresolved in me that I'm so triggered by my partner right now living in these close quarters, and, you know, having content to kind of help people pursue those insights if they want to, or, you know, or offering people like easy recipes to make, you know, it's like we're all on Zoom and we're homeschooling our kids, but we, you know, so how do we make dinner? And the specific complications of this time and what it's brought up, processing grief, processing anxiety. So I feel now more than ever so lucky to work at Goop and to be a voice for, or really just a platform where people can come and experience connection to these kinds of ideas and content that, you know, is really accessible and it's just there to really be of service at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, and the thing that I've noticed, you know, in the time that I've gotten to know you is, I mean, and I think this is something people don't realize, especially different things I've read, is the idea that you're exploring things that you're genuinely curious about. I mean, these are things that you've heard about and, you know, your, you know, vast travels and exposure and everything else. And I mean, in many ways, not that different than, you know, for me as a plastic surgeon, you know, getting curious about different ideas when I'm traveling. And one of them, like the thread lifting, that came out of, you know, areas outside of the US, but I became really curious and I wanted to bring it home. And, you know, so I look at really your approach in almost a kindred spirit way. Actually, Miles just said hi, so
Miles.
we have to throw it out there. But
Moses was just in here before we got on asking after Miles. So tell
he's such a stud. Mosey is a stud. But
he's
anyway,
a stud.
that's just the way to put it together. But you know, I I think that's one of the big things that, you know, I recognized about kind of your approach was just bringing this all together and, you know, in a really genuine way. And the other thing that I've always found interesting, I would love for you to kind of expand on a little bit, but is this idea that, now you're getting all of these accolades and everything else, which in my opinion are so well deserved, but, you know, going back just short time when people were kind of throwing arrows a little bit, your attitude, and I remember you saying it, was, look, if I get upset about it, it's a problem in me, not, as much the other person. So
Yeah.
kind of, go into that a little bit more. I just
Sure.
think people need to
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think it's like it's applicable for all of us, right? We're all living in this social media age where we can write something on our Instagram and a complete stranger can write something mean, or, we see negativity coming back to us. And I think what I learned early on was that a lot of the criticism that I got, having been a public figure for so many years at this point, is that really after I got over the first wave of just like, ooh, this hurts my ego, and like, why doesn't everybody like me? Like, what did I do? And sort of once I grew out of that phase and sort of put that down, and I realized that I went through another phase of understanding that really just the people in my life who know me and who care about me and who are on my side, or other people who are in the arena trying to do what I'm doing, even if I don't know them, like those are the opinions that I need and I want constructive criticism, definitely. Um, and I sort of started drowning out negativity that was clearly just like a projection. Somebody just hasn't dealt with their shit. And so it makes them feel better for a minute to be mean. It's just like a release, it's classic bullying. It's why people do it. Um, and then I got to a place where I realized, so most of this stuff just didn't bother me. I didn't even hear it. And then sometimes something would still sting a little bit. And what I realized was, if I read something about myself and it hurt, it meant that I was already holding that judgment against myself. Otherwise it wouldn't hurt my feelings. Like if someone said to me, um, like, oh God, like you're such a slow driver. You don't pay attention on the road at all. You're such a loser. I'd be like, well, that's actually not true. Like I'm a really fast, good driver and I pay a lot of attention. So it wouldn't bother me. But if someone said like, Gwyneth's a really impatient person and sometimes it's, like really unpleasant, that would hurt me because I hold the judgment against myself that I'm impatient, because I know that it's something that I constantly need to work on, finding patience. Um, and so that's really what I mean by that. So now, like if somebody says something or I read something and it hurts my feeling, first of all, I try to avoid, reading like comments and stuff like that. But if I do feel like a tinge of pain, then I'm like, oh, okay. So I look at it more of just like, there's a teaching moment in this. I'm obviously holding this judgment against myself, or it wouldn't bother me, and therefore, what a beautiful opportunity to unpack this a little bit and figure out what's going on.
I've never seen you yell. Actually, it occurs to me, and I'm impatient too, so my team will tell you. I mean, I don't yell. I'm not the yelling kind of
Yeah,
person, but I
I'm not either.
definitely can get, fired up. So do you ever get fired up?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I don't yell. I get like short and cold. Like I don't get hot
I
and
don't want to see that. I don't want to
no, it's
see
not
that.
good.
I don't want to see
I'm
that.
working on it. I'm really working on it. But
I don't want to see it.
no, it's not
I
good.
don't want
But
to see it.
I have many, many flaws, and that's at the top of the list.
Hey, listen, don't we all are working on it. What I'm hearing loud and clear is just the idea that, you look at it as a work in progress. And I know you talked about, your late father and kind of the influence that he had on you. And that really is another thing that resonated between you and I feel, because I have such a, close relationship, with my father. And so, that seems to have really, really colored the way that you look at things. And so,
For sure.
yeah.
And he you know, he was the best father, and he was a tough father. Like, he was honest, you know, he, and those honest talks that we had together really helped me create the foundation of being the person that I want to be. Like, he created such clear guardrails around what it means to be a person of integrity. And, you know, multiple times until his death, like, pointed me and kept pivoting me and pointing me in the right direction, you know, towards like true authenticity, honesty, and integrity. So I was very, very lucky to have him
That's
as my dad.
awesome. Awesome. I hear it. It's like earth shattering loud. But so I gotta ask, acting, you're back in that kind of game again. And I know, I mean, does that mean you're bored with Goop?
No.
You've got that so under, you've gotten
No. Oh my God.
accolades. What's up?
No, no, no. I, I, I'm acting a little bit because, as you know, my husband wrote this part in this show for me, and so, um, I'm
Which was
doing
awesome. You weren't looking for a compliment, but
definitely not.
I was dying. So anyway, go
It's
ahead.
a good show. It's The Politician on Netflix. And we just finished the second season. In fact, the last season, the last episode we had to do over Zoom, if you can believe that, because we couldn't finish.
What?
Yeah, we
How
couldn't.
in the world did you do that?
Well, you'll just have to tune in and see. I think it comes out in July, June or July. Um, but you know, Goop is really my life's passion, and we have our own show on Netflix called the Goop Lab, which was incredibly fun to do, and so I felt slightly like, okay, I can go back in front of the camera again, you know, for
Which I was bummed to not be able to do
I
the
know I
threads on
asked you
there.
to be in it,
I
and
know.
you
I know.
bailed on me.
Now it was only one reason, and you know, it would have to take something
I
extraordinary, and
know, I
it was
know.
Max's birthday.
Of
Otherwise,
course.
100%, 100% in,
Next
hundred
season you
percent
have to be in.
done. You've got me locked in for sure, for sure. So how long is it going to take before you get Apple to work with you, or is she already?
You know, it's funny. She's really, she's a very entrepreneurial young woman. She's going to be 16 on Thursday, by the way,
That's
Jules.
crazy, crazy.
I know. So it's amazing to see her kind of put things together and figure out, like, she's wants to start a business, and um, she's also an amazing musician. So I don't know what she's gonna do, but I hope she'll come and work in the family business. That would be amazing.
So can you share any like next exciting frontier that you have where, you know, anybody who's tuning in will say, yeah, I heard it here first. What's the next big level for Goop?
Hmm.
I mean, you're moving so damn fast. I can't keep up with it. So what's next?
You know, I have to say, like, this time it's been really hard and really clarifying, and I think there have been amazing key learnings for us coming out of this at Goop. And definitely struggles. You know, our retail stores are all closed, and um, but I think what's been amazing for us is really just to, as I said before, like, when the pandemic was sort of declared a pandemic and we were all trying to make sense of what was happening, we just, I said to the team, you know, just we just need to be of service with our content right now. And um, the team, I was so proud of the way that I think they've shown up for our audience with their amazing their amazing content during this time, and it's been just, you know, very resonant and very helpful. um, and it's been a great lesson in terms of, you know, really remembering the core mission of why you're doing something, you know, and kind of going back to the very essence of what Goop is, you know, which is just trying to help give people the tools so that they can make their lives better in whatever that means for them, and whatever way that means for them. So um, I don't know, you know, everything's a little bit up in the air right now, and we're just trying to get through this time as much as possible and do what we can to support the small businesses that we love, and the Frontline Responders Fund, and Jose Andres with his incredible food efforts and help the food banks, because they're seeing unprecedented numbers of families turning up. So I think the focus will really just be on how we can continue to support our communities, both with content, both in monetary ways, and trying to help people understand, what is the best way forward for us, and what we're doing, and what our readers might want from us, and pointing small businesses, in the direction of, there's a website, Hello Alice, that's giving $10,000 grants to small businesses. So just trying to, act as a connector as best we can. That's what we've always done. And that's what we want to continue to do.
No, I love it. Is there one I know, because you've worked with a number of organizations. I mean, are there one or two that you would love to kind of amplify the message for? I mean, it's a relatively small platform, but anyway, would love to.
No, it's important. It really is. I mean, I think there are so many incredible organizations out there. Doctors Without Frontiers are doing amazing. Doctors Without Borders. I just mixed the French and the English. And for us, I've put a lot of support behind the Frontline Responders Fund. They're getting PPE gear to everybody who needs it. It's been a gargantuan effort. And again, the World Kitchen, which is Jose Andres' organization, that chef is the most incredible man. He just shows up over and over again to feed people when they need it most, and to feel a sense of love through food. So that's where my efforts have been focused mainly.
No, I love it. As you know, I've always had a passion point for kids and disadvantaged kids. So,
Yes.
I've kind of taken a lot of this time certainly in Chicago, to try to work to help support youth in the city. So I love it. I love it. So we've got just a couple of minutes. I promised I wasn't going to take a ton of time, and
That's
you
okay.
were so
I love
great. You're
talking to
so
you.
gracious, so freaking gracious. But anyway, so what is your guilty pleasure, since you've been forced to stay in, that you can talk about?
I can talk about. I have no secrets. I have to say that the food and alcohol intake for the first 6 weeks of quarantine were out of control. In fact, I recently did I took a couple of weeks of eating really clean and putting down the booze. But I think booze, I think I love whiskey, and
The brown water.
the brown water. I'm all about it. And I think, when we're living through so much uncertainty and we have no idea what the future holds and how long we're going to suffer, how long what are the ramifications going to be on our economy? And so we have these macro stressors, and then we have these more micro stressors of, I can't fucking do algebra 2. Don't ask me this question. I can't help you.
But you can. But I know you can. So
I mean, I would have to go way back into the recesses of the brain. And, so I think me for sure, and a lot of my friends, we were talking about this on a Zoom call, you just sort of, evening comes, and it's a way to also demarcate your work day from your evening. So that's been my guilty pleasure. I've had to try to pull back just a wee bit.
You know what? It's so damn true. Just having to, I never thought about it that way. Just having the separation, especially when you're stuck in, just kind of taking a step back, and when you're stuck at home. So
How about for you? How are you, are you practicing? Are doctors now allowed in Chicago to
Yeah, I just got back into my clinic last week, just to kind of make sure everything kind of would flow, because this is such a bizarre, Twilight Zone kind of time now, with just all the precautions. Everybody's wearing masks and kind of prepping in a very unique way. We have to get special testing. Like I did surgery this afternoon, and the hurdles that we had to go through are just absolutely banana crazy. I mean,
And
I can't even.
are people pushing back around the idea of elective surgery in a time like this when there are strapped resources, et cetera? Or how's that working?
It's been honestly almost in some ways, the exact opposite. I mean, I've seen some people who've said, and I'm not sure, I'm going to just wait a little bit. But the wildest thing has been, I hear kind of two themes, big themes. One is, since I have to stay in and shelter in and what have you, or I can work from home, I might as well be recovering at home. So
Right.
that's been the big attitude. And I had a couple of my facelift patients who were like, "Look, is there any way you can sneak in during the quarantine? Because I want to get my facelift done, and then I can just recover at home." So obviously, I didn't do that, but it's just been part of the deal there. I think the second, which you really touched on, is it's one of those things that makes you feel good, doing something that, I mean, both for men and for women, because now we're seeing more men than ever. But I just think it's just this idea of doing something, and you know me, I'm conservative, but something that just, allows for a tasteful kind of enhancement. So
Right.
that's been a
And
big,
there
big
are
part.
now enough masks and protective gear throughout
Yeah.
the country that
Yeah,
you
and
can
we
do.
do really aggressive screening. So before you can even get into the operating room, you have to do, a coronavirus test. So that's been a big part. But we still, even with that, we pretend as if they have it, and so we're doing all these, extra measures,
I
that just.
wish we had those extra measures everywhere.
I know.
Checkpoints on the street, and I wish we had pervasive testing like that for everybody. That's
We're
what
gonna get we're gonna get through this. And one of the things I was talking about, earlier today is, I was in training back when HIV just was coming on the horizon, and I remember, I mean, people wouldn't want to touch anybody with HIV. They were afraid if they picked up a cup to drink after them. There were many surgeons who wouldn't operate on people with HIV.
wow.
And now you look at where we are now, I mean, all of that was, a lot of mythology and folklore around something people didn't know about. So I think, honestly, we're going to see some of the same things happening over the next couple of months. People are going to realize, you know what? It's not, if you look at somebody who you think has corona, you're going to get it. I mean, I think, I'm not one to say push to go out and be reckless or unsafe, because I do think taking cautious measure is an appropriate course of action. On the other hand, I think, it's important not to get overly anxious about something that, in truth, you can't control 100%. So
That's true of anything, right? I mean,
it's so true. It's so, so very true. Well, any last thoughts, my dear? I promised, like I said, I was going to keep it relatively tight. So
you're
it was
so
so
sweet.
awesome to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to see you too. I miss you, and I wish I could give you a giant hug in person,
I
but
know, I
that will
know.
have to wait.
I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to it. Well, please send my love to your family,
Thank
and,
you. You too. Send the
think of
boys
you
my
often.
love.
I will. I will. All right, Gwyneth, you take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Bye bye now.
Bye.